Yo devs, Russ here. Today we're doing something different. I'm dropping 50 Unity 6 tips and tricks that will make your life a whole lot easier. Some of them might save you hours, and others might make you go, holy shit, I didn't even know Unity could do that. Let's make a deal. If you learn today at least one new thing, you owe me a like and a subscription. Fair enough, right? But if you somehow knew all 50, well, then you're lying. Or maybe you are working at Unity. I don't know which is worse. Quick note, this video isn't about coding tips or anything that makes you open your IDE. We'll save it for a separate video, but only if you show enough love under this one. And hey, if you've got your own killer tips that I didn't mention here, drop them in the comments. The 3 most top liked ones will make it into the next video with a proper shout out to you. Alright, enough talk. Grab your coffee, beer or whatever you're gonna drink today. Open Unity and let's see how many of these you actually knew. You know that moment when you're trying to remember where the hell this material, prefab or scene is? You open a project window, you start typing the name and Unity shows nothing. Maybe it's in the wrong folder. Or maybe it's just hidden somewhere in your 200 gigabytes project. Enter search all. Hit Ctrl+K and you instantly get a search through entire project, all assets, all scenes, prefabs, components, even menu commands, everything just in one place. By the way, as you've just seen, we are gonna add shortcuts here. I'm not gonna mention them each time, but I highly recommend you to use them because they save you a lot of time. No more opening 5 different tabs to find something that you put somewhere in the previous year. Just type, find, boom, done. This thing can save you hours, especially in big projects where organization is more of a dream than the reality. You ever needed to find all materials or all textures or search through all audio clips in your project, and your project window looks like a damn soup out of your folders, some different files and stuff? Well, that's when this little drop down in the search bar becomes your best friend. With search by categories, you can instantly filter your assets by types, scripts, animations, materials, shaders, whatever. And besides from searching, it also can be useful for example, some kind of batch actions, like re-importing only scripts or exporting only shaders. It sounds small, but once you start using it, you will never go back to scrolling like a caveman through folders. Big scene, hundreds of objects, and you need this one who has a specific component on it, and you have no clue where it is. Manually opening every game object is a pain, a pure existential pain. Well, stop suffering, just open hierarchy and type there the name of the component you're looking for, like rigid body, audio source, or even Saki $5. If you have a script named accordingly and it is attached anywhere, Unity will highlight all game objects that use it. Perfect for debugging, cleaning up leftovers, or checking which objects are secretly running that heavy script that kills your frame rate. You know, it's one of these little features that feels illegal not to use once you know they exist. Lost your game object in the abyss again? We've all been there. Zooming, searching, panning, praying, wondering if it just fell out of the universe. Don't worry, you can just simply select it and press F. Unity will automatically focus it in the middle of the screen, no matter how far it drifted away. It's one of those shortcuts that sounds trivial until you try focusing it manually. F is your teleport button, straight to the problem. Got a messy hierarchy with floating objects everywhere? Need to group them without breaking any reference or losing any transform? Just simply select them all, right-click and select Create Empty Parent. This will create empty game object, parenting your selection and keeping everything in place. Perfect for organizing big scenes, creating logical groups, or setting up new pivot points instead of manually dragging objects one into another. Ever wish you could preview all the cameras without switching between them? The cameras overlaying the scene view is a lifesaver. You can just swap cameras there and view it from the different angles, debugging every perspective or any reason you needed multiple cameras. No more disabling camera to check another. You can easily switch between them, checking all angles or all layers as a director, just with fewer explosions and more null references. Sometimes you just can't figure out what's wrong. Your object is invisible, lightning's weird, or something is Z-fighting like crazy. That's when the draw modes in the scene view comes to the rescue. There are 4 core modes you can switch between. Wireframe draw mode shows only the mesh edges, great for checking topology, overlaps, or missing faces. Shaded wireframe draw mode displays your model with lighting and materials while also outlining its geometry. Perfect for balancing detail and visibility. Unlit draw mode ignores all lighting and shading, drawing pure colors. Great for debugging textures and seeing albedo without any light influence. Shaded draw mode. The standard view is full lighting, shadows and post effects, ideal for final scene work. Each one gives you a layer of insight into what's actually happening on your scene. If you're doing performance work or debugging your visuals, or just trying to realize what's wrong with your model, using these draw modes is like putting on an X-ray glasses for your project. See those tiny icons that appear when you hover objects in hierarchy? An eye and a finger. Those are not decorative. An eye toggles visibility in the scene view, and the finger makes your object non-selectable. It's perfect for focusing on what matters, like hiding crazy big environment meshes while working on a tiny UI button, or looking up your background props so you won't accidentally drag them halfway to Brazil. This tiny feature saves tons of sanity when you're working on a layered or complex scenes, and once you start using it, you'll wonder how you survived before without it. Sounds simple, but this one's pure quality of life. Even I remember when I first found it out. Just simply go to File, open a recent scene, and Unity will show up a list of recent scenes you worked with. It's just clever, you don't need to look for them anymore, they're just here. It's a lifesaver when juggling multiple levels or testing variations without the need of digging into thousands of folders and remembering each scene name. You ever get tired of digging through the menus just to open the same damned window, or switching the scene for the 50th time? Save yourself a wrist pain. Unity lets you create your custom shortcuts for almost every case. Go to Edit, Shortcuts, and you will find a full list of every possible command in the editor. You can assign your own hotkeys for things like switching between scenes, opening specific windows, or triggering custom menu items from your own tools. It's one of those features that transfers Unity's sluggish interface into your own command center. Set up at once and suddenly you're navigating through the editor like a speedrunner. If you've ever rearranged all your windows for a perfect workflow and then Unity suddenly stops, crashes, and resets everything to default, you know the pain. Here's the simple fix. Save your layout. Go to the top right corner of the editor, open the layout dropdown and click Save Layout. Give it a name and thank yourself later. You can even create separate layouts for different tasks like animation, lighting, UI design, or coding. Switch between them in seconds and keep your sanity intact no matter what chaos Unity decides to throw at you next. Ever tried editing a list of objects, but Unity keeps switching the inspector every time you select something new? Lock it. There is a tiny padlock icon at the top right of the inspector. Click it, and that view will stay fixed on the current object. Now take it a step further. You can open multiple inspectors and lock each one to different objects. Perfect for comparing values, copying components, or working on references side by side. Once you start using it, you'll feel like you unlocked developer multi-threading for your brain. Sometimes the regular inspector hides the good stuff, internal fields, hidden settings, or debug-only values. To access them, click 3 dots at the top right corner of the inspector and switch to Debug Mode. Boom! Now you see everything Unity normally keeps secret. You can check serialized data, internal states, or tweak flags that aren't exposed in a normal view. It's a great way to troubleshoot weird behavior or understand how Unity stores things under the hood. Just don't go randomly editing stuff unless you like the random crashes and the broken prefabs. This one is criminally underrated and one of my favorite ones. Select any component or game object, then press 3 dots and select Properties. This opens the Properties window, showing that object's serialized data in a standalone view. You can use it to inspect values without changing your current selection or to keep track of something while working elsewhere. It's especially useful for debugging, comparing objects, or monitoring variables in real time without clustering your main inspector. Think of it as a detachable inspector, your sidekick for a focused editing. Ever selected multiple assets and wondered how the hell to preview them all at once? Unity Inspector Previews works good on both single and multiple assets. It shows you a thumbnail or a playback of the animation, texture, material, or whatever. Just select several assets and check the bottom of the inspector. You will see the preview window cycle through them. You can scroll, play, or inspect each without leaving the inspector. It's small, subtle, but incredibly useful when browsing large sets of art or sound assets. Designing UI and need that perfect color from the screenshot, website, or your cat's eye. Unity Color Picker can grab colors from anywhere on your screen. Open the color field, click the eyedropper icon, and just drag outside of the Unity window. Boom! Color sampled. It works system-wide. No more juggling between screenshots and hex converters. Your color palette just became infinite. Almost everyone knows that you can right-click on the transform and hit Reset to fix position, rotation, and scale. But did you know you can do it with any component? Materials messed up, colliders acting weird, custom scripts values out of whack? Right-click the component header and click Reset. It instantly reverts the component to its default state. No need to manually set every value back or remove and add the component again. It's a lifesaver when you are debugging or cleaning up serialized data. And here's the cool part, you can make your own components resettable by simply adding reset method right into it. This can be handy for filling up missing references or configuring some initial values. But since we're focusing today only editor related tips, let's leave it for the next videos. I'll explain and show it then. Ever spent 10 minutes manually replicating settings between two objects, tweaking sliders, drag and dropping references, and cursing your past self? You don't need to. Right-click any component header and select Copy Component, then go to another object and select Paste Component Values. This keeps all the serialized data, fields, references, numbers identical between objects. Perfect for cloning material setups, physics properties, or script parameters without replacing the component itself. Adding script manually through the add component is fine, but there is another way to do it. You can simply drag and drop the script from the project to the object, and here you get it. To be honest, I don't think it's kind of a useful tip because why the hell would you have your scripts opened in the project? But still, now you know you can do it. Nothing feels worse than realizing you've been editing a prefab in a scene and now have a pile of messy overrides. Which ones matter? Which ones are accidental? Enter the Overrides dropdown in the inspector. There you can see every change made compared to the original prefab. From there, either apply all, this commit changes back to the prefab, or revert all, throw them away and restore the original state. This feature is basically version control for your prefabs, keeping you from nuking entire setups just because you accidentally click apply all. Ever find yourself duplicating prefabs just to make simple adjustments like changing colors, size, or adding extra component, and then you end up having 20 almost identical prefabs? That's where Prefab Variants comes to play. Instead of duplicating, right-click a prefab and choose Create Variant. It keeps a live connection to the base prefab, inheriting all its settings while letting you override only what's different. Perfect for things like enemies sharing the same logic but different visuals, or UI panels with shared structure but custom content. Update the base prefab once, and all variants instantly follow. It's inheritance, but for your scenes. Ever tweak a prefab and realized all your changes were instantly saved without warning? Yeah, welcome to the autosave era. Thankfully, Unity added this toggle button right at the top of the scene view when editing prefab. Turn it off if you want full manual control. This way you can experiment inside prefab, or if you're working with a complex prefabs, tons of children, components, turning autosave off will save you from a massive lag every time you drag something in your scene. Unity tries saving every frame, so that's a recipe for pain. And toggle it on when you're doing quick save edits. It's small, but it's pretty powerful. Good that Unity added it, and good that now you know that you can turn it off. Ever wish you could save that chaos you've created while testing in play mode? Maybe it's a perfectly generated level, or a UI button that fits 100%, or maybe enemy setup that somehow works. Normally all this magic disappears once you hit stop. But here is the trick, you may create a prefab out of those runtime objects that will store the data. Just grab the object from the hierarchy during play mode and drag it into your project window. Unity will make a prefab snapshot of its current state. It's perfect for capturing and analyzing gameplay situations, testing object setups, storing generated layouts, or comparing how something looks in edit mode and in runtime mode. Also, if you're smart enough to keep everything under the same game object, you can even freeze the whole damn scene and revisit it later. In short, this little move brings another sense for the play mode. Now you can store everything that you find useful from there. Right, I got a scientifically unverified claim for you. People who subscribe on my Patreon channel start making games 35% faster. Maybe. Maybe not, it's not verified. But anyway, don't lose your chance to join the best community ever, read some of my thoughts, get some private content, and grab the source code from my videos. And maybe we will do streams one day, I promise. Alright, that's where we wrap up the part 1. This video gets longer than I expected, so I decided to cut it into 2 parts. Yeah, that means that I have another 25 tips that are gonna f***ing blow your brain, that are awesome. And they are waiting for you already on Patreon. Yeah, they are already there. If you want to see, if you want to be ahead of the curve, go there and subscribe. And you remember about productivity boost. I'm not kidding. But anyway, if you don't, then you will see it in a week here on the YouTube also. So yeah, sure. Thank you for the watching. And remember, all these programming tips and tricks are cool. But most importantly, stay safe and love your mom. Cheers.